improve the lot of all the people in these countries. The true heroes in the global humanitarian field are the people in these countries who have the wherewithal to immigrate to another country, but instead stay in their countries, to apply their skills to help their fellow countrymen. Unfortunately, our immigration system tends to entice these very type of people to abandon their countrymen. The impossibility of making even a dent is actually worse than it looks here. Because last year, when we took 1 million immigrants, these countries added, births over deaths, 80 million more people into the impoverished population. And this year, Congress is bringing in 1 million legal immigrants. And this year, according to the United Nations, these countries are expected to add another 80 million people.
Dr. Ahn quoted to me the Lincoln line about a house divided earlier today. And I think we're living in an interesting time in which the two factions do not even agree on what the house is. Is it a home or is it merely some kind of cheap lodging house that is simply open up to anybody who can get here? Is it no more special than Gate 27 at Phoenix Airport? Is it just a collection of whoever happens to be standing in it at any one time? That's basically what the elite's view of America and the elite's view of nationhood is.
Are you saying that the variable in success or lack of success is the culture of the particular group?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And I'm saying it not only for the United States, but in terms of the studies of various other countries around the world, the same thing seems to be true. You not only find the same group having the same characteristics in country after the country. As the Germans produced the first pianos in Australia, they created the piano industry in the United States, they built the first pianos in England, they built the first pianos in Russia. You look at the Chinese, what they major in Malaysia in college is what they major in the United States in college.
Namely science and
Science and technology, heavily. And this follows the group around the world. So the notion that the group is a creature of society, that society is shaped with the group, just will not stand up to the fact.
The Ninth Circuit Court, in its infinite wisdom, now says that the President of the United States cannot target even six, putting Iran aside for the moment, but six utterly failed, dysfunctional non-states and distinguish between them, distinguish between a Somali who's got 6 brothers fighting for Al-Shabaab, and 4 of them have already blown themselves to kingdom come and are enjoying their virgins in paradise. You're not allowed to distinguish between that guy and a Toronto snowbird going to his condo in Florida for 6 weeks in the winter. That is what the Ninth Circuit says. More importantly, astonishingly, it says you can't distinguish between American citizens and the 6.7 billion people on the planet who are not American citizens.
We'll bring in another 1 million immigrants. And these countries, unfortunately, will be adding another 80 million people into these impoverished nations. We could take 5 million a year, but we'd never get ahead of what's happening in these countries. Not in this century. Don't you see? Immigration can never be an effective or significant way to deal with the suffering people of the world. They have to be helped where they live. 99.9% of them will never be able to immigrate to a rich country. There's no hope for that. They have to bloom where they're planted. The only place that 99.9% of these people can be helped is where they live. Let's help them there.
You could ask yourself, is multiculturalism in favor of social change or not? That is a very important question. And I would say that multiculturalists as being leftists, defended by people who perceive themselves as being leftists, they have a problem with the idea of social change. Because if all we have to do when we see exotic, quote-unquote exotic cultures, is to recognize these cultures, because that's what also multiculturalism is about. It's about a kind of peaceful, passive recognition of the other and the culture of the other. Then there is an imminent risk that these cultures will not change. And myself being a modernist, I think there is a problem with this, because this is a dangerous thing to say. You might jeopardize a lot of things. It's a dangerous thing to say that it might be a good thing for certain cultures to change. And for instance, their approach to women, for instance, their approach to the state, the idea of the state, the transition from the clan or from the tribe to the state, and notions such as freedom of speech, etc. And because if you say this, people, you're asking for trouble, because people will tell you, well, so you think you're better than anybody else. Of course I'm not better, but I do think that there are certain cultures who have maybe been able to deal with certain things in a better way than other cultures. If you talk about Jews in Malmö, the official discourse was that the Jews in Malmö were harassed by Swedish neo-Nazis. But if you go to Malmö and have a look, you will not find many neo-Nazis. There might be one or two, but they are not responsible for the fact that the Jews in Malmö have left. Basically, they have left. So the threat, the reason why the Jews in Malmö have left is because they have been attacked by Muslims. Not all Muslims, of course, but Muslim groups and mostly Muslim young men. And you can't say this, even though it is true.
John Kerry told graduates at Northeastern this summer, you're about to graduate into a borderless world. And for those guys, it is a